Street Triple RS, amazing road. Let's go.
There's something about the Triumph Street Triple that feels just so sweet. Every single iteration of this bike I've got on, within minutes I'm throwing it around, mucking about, doing stoppies, skids, wheelies, drifts, throwing it around on the road. It's just one of those bikes that oozes confidence and begs you to ride and do silly things on it. And I'm not so surprised now because I've ridden many generations of this bike and it's a bike I'm quite familiar with, but I can remember the very first time I jumped on one, way back in 08, 09, something like that, getting on it and immediately feeling so at home. That really sets the scene for the rest of this bike. There are bikes with more power, there are bikes with fancier bits on them, there are bikes that sound better, maybe, but I don't think there's anything else in this class that just feels so easy to get on and ride your best ride on. Triumph has done that absolutely brilliantly. Oh. That engine is an absolute just genius bit of powertrain technology, for want of less complex words. When Triumph basically tore up the form book with the original Daytona 675 and then this, they really hit a sweet spot. They then came out with the Street Triple R, which had radial calipers and fancy suspension and good shock, and it was an absolute hit. And riding this one now, which is the latest 765 RS, it really still reminds me of that original bike. It's lost some of that raw edge, it's lost some of the direct feel of all the controls that those early pre-ABS, non-ride-by-wire bikes had, but it's replaced it with helpful things like traction control and ABS and cornering ABS and track mode ABS, and it's become a much more usable day-to-day road bike, but still with that mischievous edge. And this new engine, I absolutely love it. You've got such good power at the bottom in the mid-range, but it's got this Jekyll and Hyde character where you can be tootling around going roar, roar, and then you find a bit of straight and let it sing all the way out to the red line and it goes absolutely nuts. Combine that with the fancy Brembo Stylimer, the fancy Brembo calipers, the nice adjustable master cylinder, Showa forks, Öhlins shock, and you've got a really, really capable road bike that feels special to ride, but then something that you can take to a track day and not feel like you're riding out of its ability, out of its comfort zone.
B-Moto are just one of the companies that support us here at Bike World, and they're the people that help us make these videos week in, week out throughout the year. Now, their approach to insurance is kind of to tailor it to you as an individual, which means they can do you motorbike insurance, van insurance, travel cover, and they can tweak the policy to give it the bit that you need that matters most to you. You've got a load of optional extras on there as well, and best of all, when you pick up the phone, the people on the other end tend to know what bikes you're talking about. If you say a Fireblade, they know what a Fireblade is, they'll ask you which year. They do multi-bike discounts, and one of my favourite things is the lack of a mid-term adjustment fee. So if you want to make a change to your policy, change the bike, there's no extra charge. 98% of their customers actually recommend them. I definitely do. I've used them for a long time before the Bike World sponsorship, and I've always been happy. Check out B-Moto on the link below, and you can support the companies that support us here at Bike World. Is the Street Triple still the king of the road? When the Street Triple first came out in 2006, 70, it was announced in 06, came out in 07, it was an immediate, massive success. And it had a ridiculously low first gear, which made it ridiculously good at wheelies. It was an immediate hit. But the one thing the Street Triple did back then was it made you feel confident and comfortable from the moment you sat on it.
fast forward not quite 20 years, we'll know there's a 20-year anniversary because Triumph will have some sort of crazy special edition colour scheme for that, no doubt. But fast forward 19 years and they've got the same traits in that bike. I jumped on it this morning and felt confident, happy, comfortable. The clutch felt light, the brakes had one finger, good power, but were predictable. You understood what the lever was going to do. The motor had power wherever I needed it. The gears flicked through easily. It was something we all used to say about Hondas. Oh, it's very Honda, very Honda. You can get on it and it's easy to ride. It's very Honda. Well, it's also very street triple. And I'm really pleased to find that in this latest iteration, they've improved over the standard original one in a lot of areas, but they've kept that beautiful feel, that ability to jump on and skid around a car park and do a U-turn on full lock with your feet up and do a stoppie and do a wheelie and then charge down your favourite road. They've done that lovely, and for me, that's the best feature of a street triple. Now this latest version has 130 horsepower, weighs 189 kilos, so we've gained 25-ish horsepower from the original, and the weight's pretty similar, which when you consider we've now got ABS, cornering ABS, quick shifters as standard on the RS model, a lot more sophistication, a lot more electronics, a lot more regulations that have to be passed to keep it in the same ballpark weight. Seriously impressive. What it has lost from the original first gen bikes is a little bit of that raw edge, a little bit of that raspiness, that really direct feel on the throttle, some of the absolute feel off the brake lever from the pre-ABS bikes. But that's not really Triumph's fault. That's kind of every bike in the market has done that. We first saw it particularly with the Daytona 675 to the latest 765 Moto2 edition, and the same goes for the Street Triple. They've not got worse in any way, don't get me wrong, but they've lost some of that raw, rough around the edges feel that I absolutely loved in those first gen bikes. But what this does do is bring top end suspension, an incredible chassis, and the new engine is an absolute beauty. It's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character when you ride this thing, because as it's well known, I like a lot of small single track rough roads, bits of grass in the middle, gravel, and bombing around them you're at the bottom of the rev range, raw, and there's always drive, there's always punch out the corners, everything's super smooth with it, but you get a nice like triple induction raw, which is super addictive. And you think, oh, it's quite good, this bike, it's nice, yeah, it's lovely, yeah. And then you get out on a bit of open road and let it rev all the way to the red line and it comes alive. It turns into this wild, wheeling, head-shaking hooligan of a bike. It's got both ends of the spectrum, which is something the triple engine has always done well, and this one just does it absolutely perfectly. There's not one thing about it that I'm jumping up and down with excitement about. There's not one aspect that I was like, oh, the engine's the best engine in the world, the chassis is the best chassis in the world. They've just done a really good job of everything. And it's an interesting bike to talk about because when this first came out, it sort of redefined that naked sports bike, naked middleweight segment and made it, you know, a bit more about sports bike performance. This was derived from a Supersport 600, 675, and outlived them. That class has petered out gradually. These things carried on. And then now we've got this new influx of middleweight sports bikes. This beat the old sports bikes out of the park because it was so much nicer to ride on the road. It was torquier, it was more comfortable. The wide bars gave you a bit more leverage to throw it around with. It felt more natural riding it on the road. So the sports bikes went away. And now the sports bikes have come back again with higher bars and softer chassis and designed to work really well on the road. So where does that leave a naked sports bike? Well, genuinely, I think it still makes a lot of sense on the road. Having no fairing, having wide bars, you know when you're going too quick. You feel it straight away. The tucked in sports bike thing I absolutely love, but it's really easy to get very carried away on it. On top of that, when you are mucking around, cruising around back lanes, doing little skids on gravel, this makes way more sense than something with clip-ons. If you like doing stunts, it's better at stunts. If you like riding without leaning on your wrists, it's better at that too. Are you going to choose it over a sports bike? Personally, no. Personally, I still love something about a sports bike on the road. So if I'm buying a bike for good road riding, not for mega distances, just for going out when I've got an afternoon off and I want to enjoy a road, I personally still love a sports bike. I love a full fairing, and if they made a Daytona again, I would be a very happy Christopher. It'd have to be the 765 Daytona though, because I don't want to give up on that engine. It's a beaut. But there's room for all tastes in the world, and plenty of people think I'm wrong. Plenty of people think that Yep, the sports bike thing is lovely, but on the road, you don't need it. You need a wide bar, kind of street fightery attitude bike. That thing does that very, very well. And what it also does well is translate that into a brilliant track day bike. The way the chassis is set up with the sharp steering, the kind of very sports bike feel to it, you can take that on track and not feel like it's in the wrong place. Triumph has towed that line between road and track use in a naked sports bike really, really well. The Street Triple is probably for me still king of the naked road bikes. I think it's an absolutely amazing bit of kit, but the only reason it's not knocking the Ducati V2 Panigale off my top favourite road bikes list is basically because it doesn't look like a superbike. That's childish, but that's me, and motorbikes shouldn't be that logical.